let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to show you a hand motion I like for this song. You can use a hand motion or not, whatever you like. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. I bet some of you all know that as a Shabbat song, and it can also be a Shana Tova song. So Joel, let's sing.
All right, are we ready? Let's sing together. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tana, Shana, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana, 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 Shana Tova.
Thank you, Joel. So it is Shana Tova. It is a new year. And we celebrated the new year about a week ago. And so what we're doing today, since we're not going to have a second celebration of the new year, is we are having Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a holiday for thinking about the kind of person we want to be in the new year, for planning the ways that we would like to be, and especially for thinking about anything that we've done to somebody that wasn't very nice and figuring out a way to work that out with them. If we did something mean, to say I'm sorry, or to talk to them about it, or to see if they need a hug, whatever we need to do so we can have a new year where we're really trying as best we can be to be a kind person to the people around us. So we are going to move on now to a prayer that we do pretty much every time we have a service together. And some of you know this and some of you don't, and the people who know can help out, and the people who don't can learn. So we're going to start out with a finger up in the air like this. And then I bet you're going to understand when I do the motion I'm about to do what noise I'm going to do, but you can follow along with me. It got very quiet. Now I'm going to take my hand, put it up here by my ear, and go, mm. So let's try those together. And then the last thing I'm going to do is going to take both my hands and go like this. Ah. Let's put it all together. Ah. Those noises make a word. They make the word Shema, and Shema means to listen, which is why we started out with quiet and then listening. And the idea is to listen to hear all the ways that everybody in the world is connected, that we're all part of the same family, even though we're all different from each other. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so important to be kind to other people, because we're all related. Even if we're not related like a mom or a dad or a sister or a brother or an aunt or an uncle, we are still all related. All people are related together. So we're now going to sing the prayer that begins with that word sh, ah. So let's do that one more time, and then Joel is going to lead us in singing the prayer. Ready? Ah.
And we are going to do this very slowly, taking our time and taking one breath for each word. So here we go. Take a nice breath. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
If you saw me putting my hand up like this, and I know some other people were doing that too, it's a tradition to go like this when we sing or say the Shema, to try to really, really pay attention. That's something that helps people focus sometimes, is to put their hand up like this. And now I want to tell you a story. And I'm going to start out like a lot of stories start out, which is a long time ago, people all lived in one place. So you didn't have to go very far to find anybody you know. And so it was really easy to get the news. So let's see, say that it was your birthday party and you wanted to invite a lot of people. All you had to do was walk around the town and say, oh, I'm inviting this person, I'm inviting that person, I'm inviting this person. It was really easy to tell people about things. And then when there was big news for everybody, that was easy too. And then people started to spread out a little bit more. And then there needed to be a person who was the announcer. So for a while, there was one person who would walk around and announce everything. But then people started to move even farther. So let's see, I'm living in Albany. So maybe I would move to San Francisco. And let's see, I know that Cecil and Itza live in San Leandro. And maybe they would move to, let's see, somewhere in the middle of California even. And I know Lucia and Morgan live in Walnut Creek, and maybe you would even move to Los Angeles. And people move farther and farther. And if you're there with someone, you might tell them, where might you move if you were going to start spreading out? So
is that when we started to need Zoom?
What's that, Joel?
Is that when we started to need Zoom?
It might be, because I know we have some people here from other states, even from far away. So that meant that the one person who was the announcer couldn't get to everybody. People were too far away. And a lot of news, not everybody needed to know it. You could always find a way to tell the people you want to invite to your birthday party. But here's a problem. Everybody had to know when it was going to be the new year. So there needed to be some way to announce that. So here's what's happened. God realized this was a problem. So God found a person on earth who was willing to help find a new announcing tool, since just having a person walking around didn't work anymore. So God found a girl named Paula and said, "Can you help me find a new announcing tool?" And Paula said, "That sounds fun. Sure. What do I do?" And God said, "Go find something that everybody will be able to hear to announce the new year." So Paula walked around, looked around, and came back and said, "I've got a great announcing tool." And she held up 2 rocks. "Let's hold up some rocks." And she went, God said, "That's kind of strange, you know? What kind of announcing tool is this? Rocks banging noise together? It's supposed to be special and beautiful and musical when we have a new year. Rocks just don't sound special and beautiful and musical. I know you can find something better." So Paula went and walked around thinking, need to have something that makes music. And she found something, and she came back, and it was a big, flat, round piece of metal like a plate. So here's the big round piece of metal, and it had a stick that went with it, and she went like this. You can hold up your hand and do this with me. Boom, boom. She said, "How about this gong? That's musical, right?" And God said, "Well, yes, but you know what? That is made out of iron. And iron is what people make shields and weapons out of. And so it kind of reminds me of fights. We don't want to be celebrating fights. We want something that's musical and peaceful." And Paula thought, this is getting really hard. So she went and looked and looked and looked, and she thought, "I found something great." And she came back, and she had with her a harp. So I'm going to make a harp out of my hand here. It has strings that go up like this, and it was very beautiful. And she said, "God, I found it. This is musical. It is not a weapon, and it is beautiful." And she played it, and it went, God said, "It is beautiful, and it isn't like a weapon, but you know what? It's not that loud." And Paula said, "God, I'm getting pretty tired of this. I want to help, but I'm getting tired of this." And God said, "Just try one more time, please." So she walked around thinking, okay, needs to be musical, needs to be loud enough, needs to be not anything that might remind people of fights and wars. But she found something, and she came back and said, "God, I'm a little embarrassed to show you this announcing tool because it seems kind of ordinary, and I know the new year is really special, but it's musical. It doesn't remind people of fights and wars. It's not made out of iron, and it's really loud, but it's kind of strange." God said, "Show it to me." And then she brought out a ram's horn, and she blew the ram's horn. It was pretty hard, and she didn't make very good noises. It was kind of like, whoo, 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 whoo. And God said, "That's perfect. That is just the right sort of announcing tool. And it's okay that it's hard to make a sound with, because you know what? You can practice and you can learn, and a lot of times in the new year, we have to learn how to do new things. So that's okay. And once you get good at it, it's going to be very loud. So that was the story of the announcing tool. And we are now going to make our own announcing tools. So I invite anybody who has any pieces for making an announcing tool to go ahead and get to work, or if you've already started, to show us what you have. I'm going to show you mine. I had this party horn that was in our activity pack, and I'm going to make the noise just once. And so I took it out of the horn and I cut up some paper, and I'm going to make it into my shofar, my announcing horn. And I want to invite anybody here who is making an announcing horn, who wants to wave your hand, and we can call on you and you can share what you got there. So anybody who'd like to share, Ruben, are you asking to share? Why don't you unmute and tell us what you got?
I have this lamb. What?
Is that your shofar, Ruben?
Yeah, I like to shofar, but sometimes long, sometimes.
I know what you're doing. You're singing the shofar song.
Ruben would love to sing that song.
That's what we are going to do very, very soon.
Oh, in a little while. Great, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else who wants to show us what you got? Just wave and I will call on you. Let's see, Gabriel and Jessica, want to show us what you got?
Can I show him?
Oh, very nice. That is a really big shofar, Gabriel. Thank you. Who else? I see, I think that must be Rose. Yeah, what you got, Rose and Olivia?
I made the shofar with my mom out of tape and some paper.
Yeah.
And I would like to blow it.
Let's hear.
Wait.
You gotta pretend a little.
Oh.
Yeah, you can use your voice.
Thank you, Rose. Yes, Leah. Oh, yours made a double noise. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Is that Joel making that noise?
No.
No.
Beth has her hand up.
Who does?
Beth Rudolph.
Okay, let's hear.
Oliver wanted to show our shofar.
Please.
Yeah. Do you want to try?
No, he does.
We're not going to try on air.
Okay, but you just show it to us? Whoa, that's a real shofar, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, sweetie.
It's very
No, I want.
Do you know about how to make the sound?
We need to hold it up and our lips just so and cross our fingers and toes.
Yeah, that. And then you go.
Right.
Anybody else want to show us your shofar? Anybody else? Let's see. I think, is that Isaac's hand up? I think so.
Show. Go ahead.
Wow. Wow. You got some good breath there.
For the Family and Children's Service this
Thank
morning.
you. And let's see, that's
it's a delight to be
Leon.
on about 30 families.
Jim, you are not muted.
Okay, it's a conch shell.
Wow. Does it make a noise?
Yes.
Can we hear it?
I was just listening to Joel's instructions and tried it and it worked, so.
There you go.
My husband can do it really well.
I want to listen to it.
But you know what? It just is a matter of practice. I'm sure that's a real announcing tool. That's
Then
great.
there's
Wanna try?
Michael and Scott.
Scott, and would that maybe be Scott and Michal?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear from you. And then I see that the Chang family has their hands up and we'll come back to you. So Scott, Michal, Juniper, you wanted to share? Nope.
Okay.
Chang family.
Do it.
Wow. That was a family that is an announcing tool. And let's see. I see Anna and Davi. What you got? That is big. Do you want to blow it for us? Wow. When I look at that shofar, I feel like I'm looking into something very big and long and far away. Yes. Anybody else? And hosts, if you see somebody I'm missing, feel free to call on them. We have anybody? Oh, Cora. Yes. Arusha, what you got? Unmute, Arusha.
Okay.
Thank you. And will you hold it up for us, Arusha?
Can you hold it up?
You are another person with a very big shofar. Wow. Anybody else?
It also works as a telescope. She would like it.
Oh, Leon, did you want to blow the conch for us? Wow. That was such an interesting sound. So here's what I think we should do. We are going to sing a song about the shofar. And I think before we sing our song, we should unmute for just a moment and let everybody blow their shofar together.
Blow it first. We're going to blow it first.
Let's go, everybody go. Wow, look at those guys.
All right. Our song together. Yes, out to
The big ones. What's this? Yeah, we'll do this.
That's going to meet everybody.
Right now we're doing the shofar. We'll do this.
Joel, please lead us.
Okay. By the way, that story was also, although we didn't talk about it so much this morning, it also tells us the story of the beginning of rock music. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So there's 3 sounds that a shofar makes. The first one is a tekiah. Try saying that. Tekiah. It sounds like you can make that sound. And sometimes there's a little You'll probably hear that at the end when Suzanne plays her real shofar. And then there's a shivarim, which is like 3 little of those. Shivarim. And you can do your hands like this, like you sing Rabbi Bridget. Shivarim. And on a shofar, it sounds like doo 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 doo. And then teru like that. Teru and so that sounds like on the shofar you can unmute and do it and then remute. Actually, we can, yeah, yes. And then, of course, there's the Tikiyah Gedolah, the long Tikiyah at the end. So we'll do it once, and maybe partway through the song we'll even unmute again so we can hear each other. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. I'll say a tikiyah, and then you can do it after me. Tikiyah, your turn. Tikiyah. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. After me, Tikiyah, your turn. Shivarim, Shivarim. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. Tikiyah, your turn. Shivarim. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. Tikiyah. After me each time. Here comes the shivarim. Shivarim. Your turn. Here we go. Now, we're going to take a deep, big breath. You don't have to yet because it's going to be my turn first. And we're going to sing Tikiyah Gedolah. Your turn, big breath. Shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast, Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. Last one, big one. Shana, Shana, Shana HaTova. Yay!
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it?
I'm glad it was fun.
So we're now going to put our shofars down because we're going to sing one more song that's going to be different about a different thing that has to do with Yom Kippur and the new year. So I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourself so we can hear Joel really well. And Joel is going to lead us in singing about turning. Joel, you're muted.
How about now?
That's great.
Okay. Turning, turning, turning. We've got 3 Hebrew words in this song, and actually we're going to be talking about these 3 Hebrew words in an hour or 2 in the next service also. So especially adults and even kids, if you're sticking around, we're going to hear a lot more about these 3 words. Let's practice them. The first Hebrew word is teshuvah. Let's say it. Teshuvah. And for that part, you can unmute if you want also. Teshuvah.
Teshuvah.
Okay, that's the turning word. Tefillah. Tefillah, and you can like hold out your fingers like you're feeling. Tefillah, which is the Hebrew word for prayer, and in some ways it really means looking inside ourselves, looking at ourselves in a very honest way. And then the last word is tzedakah. Let's say that. Tzedakah. And what that really means is being good, being a good person. And usually when we say it, we talk about helping out others who have some need of help right now. And guess what? That's pretty much all of us at some point. We all go through life. At times we need help, and then other times we can give help. And giving the help when it's needed is tzedakah. So that's the 3 Hebrew words, and we sang the song on Rosh Hashanah. If you were among us then, it may sound familiar.
This song is about turning, and I think that it's hurry up and turning. Anyone who'd like to get up and turn, this is a great song for doing that. And you're going to hear Joel singing about turning. So feel free to turn.
Thank you. Yes. Here we go. Turning, turning, turning on this holy day. Turning, 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 each in our own way. Turning, turning, turning on this holy day. Turning, 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 each in our own way. We turn to each other and maybe give a hug. Turn to each other. That's teshuvah. We turn to God. That's tefillah. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We turn to those in need of care. That's called tzedakah. Turning, turning, turning on this holy day. Turning, 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 each in our own way. We turn to each other, that's teshuvah. We turn to God, that's tefillah. We turn to those in need of care, that's called tzedakah. Turning, turning, turning on this holy day. Turning, 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 each in our own way. Turning, turning, turning on this holy day. Turning, 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 each in our own way.
And now we learned about the announcing tool, and we made our own announcing tools. But if we really, really, really want to announce big, so that even the people who are with us tonight or this morning who are maybe living in New York or somewhere else far away will hear the announcement about Yom Kippur, we're going to need to have a really, really loud announcing tool. So we have with us Suzanne, who is a person who blows the shofar really, really well. And she is going to make a long blow for us. So I want to ask everybody to get real quiet first. Let's go like this.
And maybe we can spotlight Suzanne.
So we're going to be able to listen very carefully. And then I'm going to call out the name of the shofar blast, which is Tekiah Gedolah, which means a big blast. And Suzanne is going to make an announcement. So, Tekiah Gedolah.
Now, will that wake you up or what?
Thank you, Suzanne.
You're welcome.
We're all awake. We all know it's Yom Kippur. And that is the end of our service, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us for Yom Kippur. And I have a suggestion. If you'd like to, this would be a great time to find anybody who's there with you, if you're there with someone else together, and maybe say anything that you think would be good for you to say to help them have a good new year and maybe give them a hug. So I am going to say Shana Tova to everybody. I wish you all a good new year. I hope you can all be even kinder people in this new year. And I will see some of you later for our 10:30 service. Feel free to unmute everybody and we can say goodbye and Shana Tova.
Bye-bye.
Bye.